with the Stanley Kubrick story.
Alex DeLarge, right?
Right.
You're actually recording?
Of course.
Incredible. It's very quiet.
What would you like for Christmas, Stanley?
A fortune computer.
Why do you want a fortune?
Because it has the best chip architecture.
Yes?
At the age of 70 at his home in Hertfordshire, Stanley Kubrick was widely regarded as one of the greatest and most controversial masters of cinema. He'd just finished what was to be his last film, Eyes Wide Shut, which took 5 years to make. Our arts correspondent Nick Hyam looks back at his career.
What's that?
It's called Unix.
Eyes Wide Shut, a movie that explores the intricate web of erotic daydreams and a labyrinth of enigmatic sexual adventures and intrigues, was, in fact, the last movie of one of the best directors that has ever lived, Stanley Kubrick. The movie starred Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman as the two main characters and invited us to follow Cruise's journey as he delves into a night of mostly madness, wandering around the streets and getting entangled in a bunch of encounters and unforeseen challenges, and overall, problems. And as I said, this was Stanley Kubrick's last film. Truth is, the legendary director died only 6 days after he showed an almost finished version of the film to its lead actors and to Warner Bros., which was the studio that was producing it. Thing is, the intriguing circumstances surrounding Kubrick's unexpected passing, juxtaposed with the film's provocative themes, really did invite speculation and really did raise some eyebrows. After all, a sleeping heart attack, which was the way Kubrick's death was labeled, is really easy to be confused with poisoning. Going back to the contents of the film, this movie delves into some real deep stuff, being based on a novel called Trom Novel. All of these complexities that we see along the movie start after Nicole Kidman's character tells her husband, which is Tom Cruise's character, that she has been having sexual fantasies with someone else in her sleep. After this, Mad, Tom Cruise's character, which is William Harford, sets out for a night of sexual adventures, and after some encounters, he ends up meeting an old friend, Nick Nightingale. It's through this friend that Harford gets to know about these really strange and really secret sex parties that happen frequently, where his friend Nightingale is invited to play the piano and everyone who wants to join the party is required to have the password for it. Cruise's character, really intrigued, ends up getting the password through his friends and plans to attend the party, buying a suit in a store that clearly has something really peculiar and dark around it. The owner of the shop seems to be selling the body of his own daughter, but honestly that's just something for another video. Finally, Harford manages to get to the party, all dressed up, where he sees this big masked and cloaked cult with a bunch of rituals and a lot of nudity and prostitutes. From the moment he enters the mansion where the party would develop, he is warned to leave as soon as he possibly could by one of these prostitutes. Apparently, he has been recognized and this prostitute knows he shouldn't be there, warning him to leave, but he ends up choosing not to, going even deeper into this surreal mansion filled with ritualistic ceremonies, sex, and orgies. After exploring the party and the mansion, Tom Cruise's character is indeed exposed, revealing he wasn't actually invited to the party, but indirectly got the password and the location for it through his friend. The tension builds up, as it appears he would have to pay the price for having attended the party and invited. But luckily for him, that same woman that had warned him multiple times to leave the mansion also seems to take responsibility for him, and Tom Cruise's character safely manages to leave the mansion. Okay, this is pretty much the general concept of Eyes Wide Shut, the story of this secret cult that obviously is filled with orgies, sex parties, and a bunch of illegal/disturbing stuff. The film continues with Tom Cruise's character being warned and even threatened multiple times by the cult to guarantee he would not mention any of the secrets he saw to other people. Either way, I don't really want to expand too much on the contents of the film. After all, this isn't particularly a film analysis, but more of a theory presentation. Though, one thing is for sure. In the movie, we find that this cult is made of people from the high society, rich people, famous people, people with power in the world. And that's really, really frightening. So, before we move on, let's go through some stuff. Stanley Kubrick makes a movie about a secret cult that obviously is associated with really bad ideals and mostly illegal and illicit activities. He then, in the film, exposes and unveils aspects about this cult, only to pass away 6 days after he shows one version of the cut to Warner Bros. A bit weird, no? So yeah, after this really weird death and sudden death, theories started to be created. First of all, many affirmed that Kubrick indeed aimed to expose these cults from the high society, the rich, and even Hollywood stars. We've seen this type of stuff before, for example with Jeffrey Epstein. So yeah, it's safe to say these kinds of cults and sex parties and all of these disturbing and honestly disgusting things really are true in the society we live in. So if that is true, did Stanley Kubrick intend to expose them and share a few of their secrets and maybe a bit of their rituals? We can't really be certain, but I think it's evident that Stanley held a genuine fascination for these aspects of the world we live in. The second part of the theory, assuming Stanley aimed to expose these cults, is in fact his actual passing. Did Kubrick really die naturally, or was he instead poisoned and a heart attack was framed? Did he expose too much from these cults and was murdered for that? We obviously can't be sure, but there's definitely some potential to theorize. And there's more. Stanley showed, as I said multiple times, one possible version of the final cut. But truth is, we can't really be sure if that was indeed the final vision Stanley had for the film. It is said that, after Kubrick's death, the film was in fact re-edited and rearranged by Warner Bros. And it is said and speculated that 24 minutes were cut out of the movie. So, is that true? Was the cut that we saw the final cut that Kubrick intended us to see? This question leads us to two possible scenarios. In the first one, were 24 minutes not cut from the movie? If they weren't cut, why are there even these rumors about this cut? It's at the very least weird. I can see people creating some speculation about other aspects associated to his death, but why would we get a rumor about the specifically 24-minute cuts? It's definitely weird. Moving on to the second scenario, were 24 minutes actually cut from the movie? If so, was Kubrick agreeing to this cut, or was it removed without his consent and after he died? Truth is, many directors have had conflicts with studios regarding the final version of a film, so was this the case? Did Kubrick not agree to cut these minutes, but they were still cut after his passing? And even more, were they excised of the movie because they showed way too much about the high society? Did those minutes expose too much and we will never be able to see what Kubrick was trying to show us in those extra scenes? Yeah, the second scenario is obviously a lot scarier, because putting all the parts together and all of the scarier and more pessimistic options in order, we would get something like this, which is basically the most conspiracy and crazy theory revolving Kubrick's death. So basically, Stanley makes a movie to expose the high society and the rich. He aims to expose and show the world how this kind of people really abuse their wealth and do all of this really wrong and unethical stuff, filled with prostitution, nudity, orgies, sex parties, secret meetings, cults, rituals, etc. He then, after completing the film, shows the cut to Warner Bros. After seeing the movie, Warner Bros. Wants to cut 24 minutes of the film because maybe they showed too many secrets and made it all too oblivious. But Stanley doesn't agree. He then is murdered to guarantee that the 24 minutes are removed entirely, and those secrets remain secret forever. Of course, that would basically be the case of what happened if every part of this theory is in fact true, but it's all obviously still conspiracy. On the other hand, let's do some reflecting. This movie holds the record for the longest movie production ever. Stanley Kubrick was 70 years old in 1999 and directed this film for over 400 days straight. Maybe he was just too tired and was trying to hold on until the moment he considered the film was finished. That would be exactly why he died just 6 days after the film was edited. Also, maybe there wasn't even a cut of 24 minutes from the original movie. Or even if there was, maybe that cut was completely irrelevant and was just made as a choice to try to improve the quality and the storyboard of the film. And in this case, there would be nothing wrong and nothing abnormal and nothing peculiar with Kubrick's death. But just maybe not. We really can't be too sure. Whatever. Just before we end, a quick disclaimer. Pretty much everything I said on this video is theorizing and reading Reddit posts and talking to people who really investigated this a lot. This video is basically a compilation of all the theories and all of the discussions on Stanley Kubrick's death. I did a lot of preparation before writing the script, but even if I had prepared myself even more, I still wouldn't get the definitive answers for this. And I think no one will ever get those. Truth is, this is a complex matter on which we will probably never know the absolute truth. Maybe everything happened naturally and there's nothing more to it. But just the thought that there might be something more is really terrifying and opens the door for speculation. So yeah, I guess this was pretty much it. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and let me know your true thoughts on the mysterious and enigmatic death of one of the most legendary directors ever. Thanks for sticking with me. See ya!